Welcome everybody. We're just admitting some people into the webinar, so just give me a couple of minutes as they all come in. Right, there we go. So Tony, just give me a thumbs up. You can hear me correctly?
Yep.
Great, excellent. Welcome everybody to ASA's first ever free webinar. We are very much excited to have you all here today. And before I introduce our speaker for the day, I just wanted to welcome you all. The webinar forms a series that ASA is doing for 2026. The initiative is designed to provide this practical, relevant support to you guys as agricultural shows. It aligns very strongly with our strategic focus on supporting agricultural shows and creating value for you, our members. We know our members are looking for those practical ideas, the tools that they can take back to their shows. And this series is a great example of that in action. Each session's been designed to respond to our current challenges. Today is one we hear time and time again. Every show society faces the same challenge. They want to deliver that great entertainment with a really real budget constraint. ASA has invited today Tony Laffin to speak with us, and Tony brings a unique perspective, just admitting people at the same time. He's worked as an entertainer himself, and he now leads the entertainment and education for the Royal Queensland Show, aka the ECA. He understands both sides of the equation. He's not speaking in theory. He's been working through these challenges every day, from negotiating fees to finding the creative ways to maximise impact without overspending. Tony's dealing with the same pressures faced by show societies right across Australia. The presentation was recently delivered specifically for show societies at Queensland Ag Shows Conference, and we're pleased to be able to share it with more broadly in this webinar series. So before we begin today, just a quick note. If you've got any questions throughout the session, please pop them into the chat function and we'll keep an eye on these, and we will pull a selection of them and pose them to Tony throughout the presentation as well at the end. I'm just admitting some more people, sorry. Multiple jobs. I look forward to continuing this series and wanted to let you all know that there'll be another one in July. That specific session will be on psychosocial hazard awareness. We want to support those shows to better understand risks, responsibilities, and the practical strategies to support the wellbeing of committee members and volunteers. But for now, please join me in welcoming Tony Laffin, Head of Entertainment and Education for the Royal Queensland Show, with his presentation on entertainment on a budget.
All right, thank you, Kate. Thank you for a lovely introduction. First of all, sincerely, thanks everybody for joining today. It's quite humbling, and I feel quite honoured to be asked to present this. As a entertainer previously, and also as an entertainment manager in the ag industry, it's quite a unique industry because we really are non-competitive. We are a struggling industry, struggling getting volunteers, declining numbers, and we all have those same issues. I see it very much about collaboration, and very happy to share any tips I've got or advice. I see a lot of people who are in different states, we're at different times of year. So there really is this, and we're not for profit, and all we want is everyone to succeed. Australia is a small country and it is very challenging. But I thought, first of all, it's always good to know who I am and my background, just for a little bit of understanding of where I've come from in my journey. So I will just go through the slides and see if I can get that to action. Oh, good. There we go. So who am I? So Tony Laffin is my name. I've been 13 years at the RNA. Started in 2013. I was performing on cruise ships as well as being an entertainment manager. So I started off as a consultant initially. So 35 years has been the long journey. I feel very fortunate to have been a performer, particularly in Australia, to make an income as a performer. It started off as the face of Dreamworld. That was Casey the Clown. Then I worked for McDonald's for a period of time as the face of McDonald's, as Ronald. Then that was as a 17-year-old. I dropped out of college, ran away and joined a circus. And then as you got older, people took me a little bit more serious. Became a comedy magician. In Australia, you have to be everything to survive. I was very fortunate enough to then become an illusionist. I had a tiger in the show, snakes, chickens, ducks. And then as I got older, I either got smarter or lazier and got rid of all the props and the illusions and became a stage hypnotist, as well as a clinical hypnotist as well. And then the previous CEO of theme park where I was working at Wonderland Sydney and the Gold Coast ended up as the general manager here at the Ekka, the Royal Queensland Show. And I was lucky enough to then become the head of entertainment. And over the last few years, I've become the head of education as well. The motto there is around making learning fun. So today's presentation, just so you know what we're going to touch on, I want to go through the background of who the Royal Queensland Show is, so you know where I'm working. There's a new thing that's come into the market in the entertainment industry. It's the entertainer superannuation. There's a lot to learn about that, so that you're aware of that. AI, we're all talking about AI, how we use it. I would like to do my slant, how I use it to save money, because this is about entertainment on a budget. Negotiating fees is always the uncomfortable one of knowing how to make sure you're not overpaying or you're not underpaying a performer. I'd like to touch on my tips there. Then I've got just general things on cost-saving ideas. Also careful of how you select the performers. I've touched on that. And then also what we all value is no-cost entertainment. And then I just want to circle back on about collaboration, that we're all here to support each other. And then we have questions at the end. If you think of something, if you want to write that down through the session, or feel free to let Katie know or put your hand up for questions throughout the seminar. There's a few slides. My local show, it is the Royal Queensland Show. It's run by the Association of the RNA, better known as the Royal National Agricultural Industrial Association of Queensland. The title of our show is the Royal Queensland Show, RQS. Queenslanders and Australians tend to abbreviate everything. It was known as the exhibition. It's now actually become a brand of the Ekka. If you're not from Queensland and you're talking to state about, I work at the Ekka, a lot of people don't know what that is. So that's its own brand, and we commonly refer to it as the Ekka. But we also are a not-for-profit organisation. Capital cities are, the ag industry is. So that's where budget always becomes an issue for all of us. The Royal Queensland Show. Here's a quick piece of trivia for you. How do you become a royal show? So a member of the royal family actually has to visit to anoint the show. Is that a true or false? It's actually true. If you've had a member of the royal family visit your show, then you can go through a process and then you have the title of being called a royal. So not just because you're a capital city. We have one in Toowoomba that's a royal show, not necessarily a capital city. This year we're celebrating 150 years. It's our anniversary year. The organisation was created in 1875, and then the show itself started a year later. So it's an exciting year for us. We're a 9-day show. We used to be 10 and 11 days. Post-COVID, we've reduced it down. So we actually are over 2 full weekends where we start on a Saturday, Sunday, and we finish on a Saturday, Sunday. We've got a public holiday in the middle. Here's a little sneak preview for you all. If you remember the precision driving team, that was actually created by one of our councillors here at the Ekka, and that became a nationwide success. So I'm going to bring that back as part of our 150-year celebration as a nostalgia. So we want to honour the past, but we're still talking about igniting the future and how we're still relevant in today's entertainment world and ag industry. A lot of people are buzzing around the country is the Olympics that is happening here in Brisbane. We are a venue for the Olympics. Part of the funding, we will be building a new grandstand. So it's for the Olympics and the Paralympics. We're going to become part of the Athletes Village. We had a development plan of building some apartment buildings around the perimeter of our site. That's just brought our strategy 20 years forward in time for the Olympics. The Olympic Committee and the government could see the value because we support regional Queensland and the farmers. It's about legacy. By improving our grounds, it helps us sustain the Ekka and the Royal Show, the Ag Show, for the farmers because it's a meeting place for everybody. So we will be getting part of our grandstand rebuilt along with that legacy. Very important if you're looking at entertainment and what we do and why we do it. I find data is very important. A lot of entertainment is booked on just feeling and what your thoughts are, but I refer to data a lot and statistics. Our show, we get just over 400,000 people in a 9-day period. We have 21,000 competitions and just a little bit more than that. And like everyone, we rely on volunteers. We've got 1,500 plus amazing volunteers at our show. It's a lot to manage. Like I said, you have to, if you're going to do entertainment, it's really important you understand your demographic. We talk about bringing the country to the city. Our audience, even though we're an ag show, it's 76% all come from a metro area. So mainly city people. There's 20% that are regional. We get some that come from interstate, and we do get overseas visitors. I think our show is in line with Japan's holiday period. So international visitors do come. We have our segments, as most shows do. We have our families, which is a big key area. Empty nesters, they have a lot more cash and a lot more time. And then our youngs, our emerging industry, the teenage market. So when we're designing our entertainment program, I look at these statistics and we try to, when I see that there's 76% of city people, we try to bring that country experience. So it's part of my thought process about when we're looking at designing an entertainment program. Our night show, we call that the jewel in the crown. Everybody wants to see the fireworks and stay for the fireworks. We've created a brand around our night show. We actually call it Ekka Nights. It's a traditional show. People have an expectation from the city that they're going to see horses, so we make sure that's a core element of the night show. And then we also have the motorsport. We do have a racetrack on our grounds, so we include that with the whole precision driving team, the motorbikes, which are a staple to the fireworks. And that's where it appeals to the young people as well. When we look at the statistics, when we survey who actually watches the show, we've actually found out people will buy a ticket just to come to see the night show. That's so when I'm looking at the budget and how much I spend across the spreadsheet, I can see that it justifies putting a lot of extra money into the night show, because we will get anywhere between 20 to 30,000 people a night watching our night show, which goes for 2 hours. So 50% of our audience are the Sinks and Dinks, the young people. So in my mind, I need to make sure we're not designing a program just for the families. It's also got to appeal to the young people who have very short attention spans. 38% are the family. So it's actually less than the Sinks and Dinks. Empty nesters, a smaller demographic. They tend to want to go home. They don't like to be out late at night. But we still make sure, across the board that there's something in there. So the challenge we have for ag shows is we have to be something for everybody across our demographics. But today it's about entertainment on a budget. So here's a few things I just wanted to share with you. We're a 9-day show. We have 400,000 guests. It's always relative to your budget. Sydney is a 14-day show. They have twice as many guests as us. But even Linnell, who's the entertainment manager in Sydney, she has to be creative with her budget as I do, because I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, if you're a smaller regional show, you would love to have my budget to put on your show. I'm sitting here thinking I would love to have Sydney's budget to put on a show here at the Ekka, because it's a lot larger than mine. And I'm sure Sydney sit there looking, they wish they had the Calgary Stampede's budget. So we all have these desires, we all have the same challenges, but we've got to make it work and be creative. This is a new thing that's come out in the last 18 months. If you're not familiar with it, it's about entertainers' superannuation. Now, there's a little bit of legal jargon involved with this because it is to do with tax and your superannuation. So a quick disclaimer. So this is just really for your general purpose, for you to go and research, go to the ATO website. Katie does have the link that she will share with everyone later on. I'm not an accountant, far from it. I'm an entertainer, so accounting is not one of my strengths. I'm not a financial advisor. So this is not legal advice. This is just to give you the heads up to go away and do some more research. So it's just an overview for everybody. But also make sure if you've got an accountant in town or someone on your board of directors, always get that legal advice. But it's based on the superannuation. There's new legislation. So It's not a pay rise. So there's a new legislation. It's for performers to negotiate. Some of them will try to put this on top of their current fee. It's not a 12% increase. It's just highlighting a few things because no one can, and even myself, I can't afford a 12% increase on performance fee for what's already budgeted to what we spent last year. But there's this law around we have to pay the superannuation now. So all along, performance fees were meant to be part of that. Previously, the superannuation was to make up that fee, and then plus GST. Historically, they're meant to treat it and look after it themselves. And that was the expectation from the tax department, that every performer, they'd get their fee and then would go pay their own super. However, performers aren't traditionally very good at paperwork. When they get the lump sum, they would go and spend it. And then as a result, majority of performers don't have a super, or if they do, it's very low because they can turn it on and off being self-employed. So this is about the government protecting performers to make sure when everybody retires, even performers, that they have some superannuation. So it is compulsory, but then now the government is making us as the bookers manage the performers' superannuation on their behalf to make sure they do put it aside. So who do you do that with? You don't do it with every performer that you book, but I'll just go through the notes with you. So a sole trader means that us as bookers and you as in the ag shows, you actually have to pay the super on the behalf of the performer out of their fee. So we collect the company's details. So they've got to provide the superannuation's company details, and then we pay direct to the superannuation company on behalf of the performer. Like I said, we can't put that on top of because it would send everybody broke, adding an extra 12% expense to your budget. So this is not an opportunity for anyone to put money on top of. It actually comes out of their quoted fee that they give you. So it's as a sole trader. So you have their fee plus their GST, but it includes their super and it's at the rate. So the rate changes and it could go up, I think, in the financial year. So this is how we do it. So they perform as their fee, and this is how we put it down. So it's the 12% comes from the gross, and then the GST is added on top, but it's to the agreed fee. So you are 100% responsible. If you don't pay the super, the ATO will go after your organisation for not paying the sole provider superannuation. So that's really important. It does create a lot more paperwork for us and our finance department. The easiest way I suggest is when you collect the public liability and insurances and risk assessments of your performer, in the same request, ask for their superannuation company's details. And that's only if, and we also ask them, are you a sole trader or are you a proprietary limited company? If they say sole trader, get their details, you have to take 12% out of their fee. So if you're proprietary limited or a trust, you don't pay anything to super. They're looking after themselves as a proprietary limited. They pay their own fees and they pay their own super. So larger companies who do this full time, such as FMX companies or Fireworks, you don't have to worry about that. So proprietary limited or trust, don't take their super. Sole traders is a yes. So you don't need to collect any of those details. How do you do it? So legally, you don't need to break down the invoice to show the super amount and the GST, but for transparency, we are asking for that. So say it's $2,000, we'll then from that take away the 12% and have them itemize it, and then it's plus GST on top of that. So here's an example. The fee is $1,750, and we just make sure that it's on their contracts. So you don't get them coming back to you afterwards with 12% missing out of their fee. If you include it in their contract, there's no confusion. So this is the line that I use in our contracts. So it's $1,750 plus GST, inclusive of superannuation at the going rate. to be paid by the hirer, which is us, into the artist nominated fund. So we put that clause in our contract so that it's there when they sign it, assuming that they read their contract. But if you can make that stand out in initial conversations, let them know that you will be removing 12% and paying it on their behalf. So very important that it's in your contracts. Here's an example I just wanted to share with you. This is their contract. This is not their invoice. This is the contract. We break it down so we get their banking details. We get their superannuation and their numbers. We highlight the agreed fee, and then we show the breakdown. So it's 1,500, the 12%. We show that number of 187, and that's so there's no confusion. And then when we do part payments, we always do a 10% deposit. We'll pay them there, which is the $156 you can see. Once they've performed, we will pay them the balance of the 1,500, and we highlight the super contribution again of 187,000, and we pay that at the end once they've performed. And again, in the contract, you'll see down at the bottom there, we just spell it out. Your super will be paid at 12% by the RNA directly into your nominated super fund. So you can't put it enough places to make sure that they don't come back and feel like that you've ripped them off and their fee is 12% short. But that's only for sole traders. So hopefully that helps. If you're booking through an agent and a band, there could be 5 members. You don't have to collect their super. It's up to the agent. That's why they get their commission. And just be careful. There are a lot of agents out there can see that as an opportunity to add 12% on top of their fee. You don't know if he's keeping it for themselves or it's actually going to the band. It's not a pay rise for performers. We're actually now just paying it on their behalf. So just be careful. Watch out for opportunists and agents that can see it as trying to increase the performance fee. So that would be my little bit of advice on that. Now, it is super gets added after the agreed fee. So if it's $2,000, the super comes from that, then plus GST. So some people go, when does the GST come into it? It happens afterwards. What else can I say there? Yeah, so it's up to the agent. So we don't collect the super on those. It's their job. So there has been the odd occasion where if we book a band direct, we have done that for them because there's 5 members and there's no one representing one of them. But they have to break down their fee to each performer. It gets a little bit messier. So it's best if they manage that themselves. Production companies, if you're hiring equipment, audio or lighting, there's no super because they manage their own staff. They're proprietor limited. So you don't need to take out any super for those people. So as it's always been in previous years, again, don't let a hire company try to charge you an extra 12% if they hear about this. So are there any questions on that? I'll try to rush through it a bit. We're a little bit I'm mindful of time. But just know that you should look into that and on sole traders. Katie, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine, Tony. There isn't any questions in the chat at the moment. If there is, I will let you know.
All right, great. AI, I'm not sure who's used AI, who's played with AI. I'll show you how I use it. The advantage of AI is it actually saves time. And for me, time is money. And I just want to show you examples how I use it in the entertainment space. I failed English. I was a good performer, but not very good at writing. As a person in a small ag show, you may not have someone who's good at writing copy or press releases or media releases. So I use AI to help me formulate that. You'll often find performers aren't very good at supplying a biography. So this is an example, and this is a real world situation. You can see that I'm a terrible typer, so I left that in so you can see this and see how smart AI is. Basically, I was after a media or a bio on Jericho Jack, which is the bull, the cow that Dave Mansion rides in. I did a quick description of what it looked like. I didn't even bother checking my typos. I said, can you write a bio about this? And this is what AI pulled back out for me. So I had a proper bio. Yeah, meet Jericho Jack, the remarkable 4-year-old Brahmin. So it was well worded. It's not perfect, so I recommend that you go back and proofread to make sure it is accurate. I did have an FMX company I did this for, and they put the host, who is the wife of the rider. She doesn't actually jump, but it grabbed her name as part of it and had her doing backflips. So always cross-check the content. That's too long for an Instagram post. So I said, can you make it shorter? Write a version for a media or Instagram or Facebook. You can see I left the typos in there, and it came out with a short version. Then here's something for, it comes up with some quirky things. He's not a horse, he's a saddle rolling bullock. So, and it even finds the hashtags for you. So again, that just saved me about half an hour, 45 minutes about writing and proofreading. It did it within a matter of seconds. So AI can be great, and using it, having your own media manager. I also use it for graphics. So in my presentation, I found a couple of these icons that was using existing clip art, but I needed a clip art for a contract. So I dropped those photos into AI, and I said, can you create a logo or a clip art for contract? It did that. Said, can you do one for hire of equipment? It wasn't what I wanted. We don't use bulldozers at our show. I said, no, about audio lighting, and it adjusted it and then created this. You would have seen this a little earlier. I had it for Proprietor Limited. I said, no, I need one for Sole Trader. It spat out that. I gave it a bit more detail. I said, no, I need a white background. And it came back with this version. So it's very handy, convenient for presentations to use it. And that's how I use it each day. So AI for me speeds up your time in the office. It makes it efficient. It stops you employing external media managers to write content for you. And for me, time is money. And you'll see this slide here, that was generated in AI. And I wanted to show you, I said, create an AI poster for a PowerPoint presentation on entertainment on a budget. And I said, use green, and told it what landscape to do it. And it created that. So that's how I use AI. It's quite cheeky. You do need to proofread it and double check the content. Now,
Tony, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can I ask a question? I'll just go back because there's a couple of questions in the chat for you to answer about what was one of the questions was, what about other contractor sole traders at your show? So I assume it's excluding entertainers, but if there's other contractor sole traders at your show, does the superannuation requirements still exist?
So, under entertainment, so generally I find it's a lot of musicians who don't go past a certain, they haven't registered, they don't make enough money as a performer to become a proprietor limited, so they just work as a sole trader. So they're the ones. It's about if you're paying for them for their wages. I haven't come across hire companies that are sole traders because they're normally proprietor limited registered companies that do that. But the term I found for entertainment, this is purely for entertainers, is what I've focused on. Entertainers that are sole traders, we do need to pay their super. Hire companies, they should be paying their own super themselves. So the ATO was focused on performers because they were so bad at paying their own super. But I'd get legal advice on that one.
Thanks, Tony. The second question was, when was the commencement date for the super?
It's current now. So it was this year. So we've activated, I think last year there was a grace period for the last financial year, but it started from now on. So the ATO is looking at it.
And there is one more question. Well, actually, it's not a question, but Roy has suggested to try Claude AI app as opposed to ChatGPT. He says it comes across more realistic than ChatGPT. So that's Claude, CLAUDE, just as a, a nice way of sharing some information with everyone here.
That's great. And Copilot is also another good one that our company uses internally, Copilot. Cool.
That's all the questions for the moment, Tony.
Nice. So I wanted to share with you my technique of negotiating. So you might want to use this when you go to Bali as well. But it's a technique in negotiation called the flinch method. It's used in the art of negotiating. When you negotiate, don't be rude or aggressive. That's probably my key point. And keep it non-emotional and don't be over-dramatic and oversell it. But this is how I used to use it when I was a performer. And I use this too when I wanted to get more money. So on the phone, I'd say to the booker, my fee's $1,000. And if they didn't flinch, I'd always see if I could get more money out of the person. So I go, well, for an extra $300, I could do some roving magic at the bar. And if they still didn't flinch, in my mind, I knew they had more money, so that I would always upsell, like, do you want fries with that? And I go, for another $250, I could perform at the president's reception. Then if the booker flinched, I knew that that's what the sort of money they had, and I'd keep it at $1,300, where initially I'd quoted $1,000. Now, you can also do it if the person doesn't have $1,000. I'd say, hey, my fee's $1,000, and the booker would go, I'm not happy with that. I go, well, actually, I can include some close-up magic, which is normally valued at $300. That's all part of the deal. If the client still flinched, I knew then they didn't have $1,000. I go, look, I could perform at the president's reception, which is normally another $250. And then the client would feel they were getting value for money at $1,000. They were getting an extra $500 for nothing. But if they still weren't happy and they still flinched, I knew they didn't even have $1,000 to spend. And I could offer to reduce my fee by $300 and say, well, look, I won't rove at the bar. That's normally part of the fee. And I can reduce my fee to $700. And if they're happy with that, I knew that's where their budget was. Now, when you're booking acts yourself, so you ask the performer what their fee is, and then they say, well, for $1,000, I do 3 appearances. You always want more out of the performer. So you go, well, can you do 5 appearances per day? And if they didn't flinch, and they'd say, yeah, look, I'm there anyway, I could do a couple more for you, it won't cost me any more money. Then I always try to get more out of the performer. I go, great, I'd appreciate it if you could do the media launch as well. If they didn't flinch, I go, great, they think, that will help sell tickets and get media for them. And I always keep pushing again. Hey, well, the president loves magic. Can you do something at the president's reception while you're there? And if they still didn't flinch, they go, well, hey, if it's for the president, who signs the checks, of course I will. Now, straight away, I've got 2 other gigs out of the performer where originally it was only going to be 3 appearances. So I'll try them again. Well, we do a grand parade. Can you appear in the grand parade as well? It's only 1 day. And they go, sure, it's only 1 day. So now, instead of booking 4 different acts, I've got the same act doing more, and it's not costing any more money. And they go, well, do you know how to sing the national anthem? And sometimes that's where, the line's cut. So every time a performer puts their price forward, I just keep pushing until they flinch, so you can get the most out of a performer. But the practice with this, guys, is always be respectful of the performer. Keep it very conversational and keep it natural. Don't forget, use silence to make people feel awkward, but don't overdo it, because then you create a bit of mistrust, and you don't want to actually miss out the act where they walk away. So entertainers too have to make a living, so pay what you can afford, but also pay them what they need so that they can keep being available for us. So that's just the art of negotiating. We are running out of time, so I will just go through, because I think there's some really good tips for regional shows on some random things. This could be things you guys are already doing, so I don't want to preach to the converted, but if you're new in the role or you're not quite sure, I just want to share with you some of the techniques that I use. So to get entertainment and not pay for it, I never like to use the word free, because there's no value in free. You want to show respect to all performers, whether they're getting paid or not. I work heavily, even at our level as a Royal Show, I engage a lot of schools and community groups. For example, I've hunted down every marching band within the Southeast Queensland radius. And as a result, we had 17 marching bands in 9 days here. And that creates that Carnival Street atmosphere. They love it because it's community engagement, and they get to perform for public and show it to their parents and friends. So, and that's all entertainment that we didn't pay for. Also, we do 21-day events in 9 days, and we don't absolutely pay for any of them. So we go to the dance schools, which a lot of communities use. There's great community engagement there. Schools have dance schools as well as the privately run ones. Line dancing is a big thing. There's great organisations and classes that teach it. Reach out to them, ask them to say, I'll give you an opportunity to come and perform. We normally will comp them a ticket, but we're not outlaying cash. Bush poetry is part of the school curriculum. We set up a Bush Poet stage and adds that character to our ag show. The Whip Cracking Association, we run the national titles. We started off as a school group doing it, and it's grown now into the national ones. Go to your local pub, there's a dart competition. Get them to do that at wherever you've got an F&B or a bar outlet. Maybe there's a dart competition you can do. Arm wrestling is a big one. We run that now. It's over 10 years. It's turned into the Queensland titles. Go to your local gym. Go, would you like to do a strongman challenge where they're lifting up barbells and make that a display that becomes entertainment? And also they can do body posing competitions. Archery, or anything that's safer than that, any kind of clubs or sports, they can run that at your ag show. Remote control cars, we find little groups that do fanatical things. People are fascinated to stand around and watch these, and the associations of clubs love to show off their toys. Axe throwing has become a thing around the inner city here. We're now running an axe throwing competition. It's like 10-pin bowling, but axe throwing. We're going to set that up near our bar. Administration is always a challenge. We're all short staffed. So what I've done, I started off my first year as one person only until I found out about there are management students that are studying events and management. So I now work with the TAFE, the colleges and high schools. There's kids that want to get into event planning, and I use those even now here at the Royal Show. Surveys, like I said at the top, is data is really important. Over like, are you servicing your guests? Are the performers having a good time? Do they want to come back? And are you delivering the right things? And there's a company called SurveyMonkey. It's a free survey program that you can create your own surveys, and then we email that out to everyone after the show. Are we supporting the performers? And wherever you can get an email, we send a survey out to get data. Data is really important. I look at hire companies. When you're hiring and buying tables and chairs, I ask them to throw in extras, and then they can become a sponsor. We offer them value in kind, things like sign writing around, and we put a contract where they're for them. So out of everyone we deal with, we go, what else can you give us on top of that as a bonus? And we do it here. Even Lisa, to have a position somewhere in a pavilion, then they become a sponsor, and we get cash and revenue or extras from those people. We run a competition with the country music. We get over $70,000 in prizes that are all donated purely from our partners, and that doesn't cost us anything. I buy the tickets. There is a value in tickets, so we can control how much you do and how much you give away. And it's very important you log that, so it's managed properly. And so they're always how long you need to get. We reach out to real estate agents and auctioneers who naturally talk. Then maybe Roadwalk to become a sponsor of the event where you need an MC. Local radio stations, we reach out and we still use Triple M as a MC. There are not-for-profit radio stations, there are drama students, local ambassadors, showgirls, we use all of those throughout, and the auctioneers. Now, after writing entertainment, the character suits can be very expensive, but a lot of organizations have their own mascots. So please, the podcast.
Tony, something's going wrong with your, just now your sound's gone really funny, and I'm not sure why. Maybe Brendan hasn't paid the internet bill. No.
Well, how's that?
But yeah,
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yes, fine. Do you want to just go back just a couple of slides, just because it just went a little bit haywire for a second there? Sorry about that. It was about the start of that there. Thank you so much.
That's all right. I'm just sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Perfect.
Anybody I deal with, I ask them for always extra, same as I do of a performer. It's a value in kind. So what else can they give to us? We ring around and cold call companies for our country music competition, and we've now get over $70,000 in prizes for our competitors, and that's all on a zero budget. We run a talent quest, but you should always ask and just peel back the layers. Anyone you deal with, always ask them what else can they do for you. It's always that upsell. I was saying about MCs. They can be expensive to book. So I look at people who naturally do this on the microphone and do it for a living. So you have the real estate agents. They will do auctions. They could maybe be a sponsor of an event where you need an MC. Radio stations, we still use Triple M and other radio stations that come on and MC events. Commercial radios, and there's also community radio stations. High schools, we reach out to them. There's a lot of drama students who want to go into musical theatre. They already do debating. They become great compares for us, very young and enthusiastic. And we reach out within the industry, the rural ambassadors and also the showgirls. They become, we use them for like a meet and greet as hosts at some of our dinners and events. They're an asset because they're good at public speaking, that they can become part of it. So that's how I get extra MCs that I can't afford to pay for, and I do it even at a Royal Show. just relying on other people to have those same talents. And I was saying for, the trademark character suits can be very, very expensive because you're paying a royalty. So I've reached out and done a whole parade just based on community mascots. So the police, the emergency service, they all have mascots. On the Gold Coast, the lifeguards have mascots. So all of a sudden, kids don't see if that's a Blinky Bill or not. What they see is the big furry character, and it's great community engagement for that organisation, and it's something that I'm not paying for. Sporting teams all have mascots. I've reached out to all of these, and I've had these all at the Ekka at some point. But it's not limited to any one code. Every code seems to have a mascot. Look around and see who's got it. And then even, you can go to the state level, you can go to local level. But the other thing that amuses me is companies all have mascots. Night Owl has a mascot. Specsavers have a mascot. Paddle Pop Lion, we've had him here before. Freddo Frog. And this can cost you thousands of dollars, but it's promotion from them, and I don't end up paying for those. So you've just got to be a little bit resourceful and look at those things. And then you look how to make an ag. Our ag industry has lots of mascots. Pineapples, strawberries, berries, kiwi fruits. Ask around, ask them every time you're talking to anybody, do you have a mascot that you'd like to come here? And then you can create a street parade full of mascots. When you're booking bands, always ask yourself, do you need a 5-piece band? Is this enough for a 3-piece band? And that will change the budget. In the morning, you don't need a band. Maybe it's a solo artist. Ask them, instead of having a whole PA and a full backing band, do they have a backing track? And I will be doing that here at the Ekka. In the mid-mornings when the crowds are smaller, I've got a singer that just has backing tracks. A lot of the bands have their own PA system, so you don't have to even hire in a PA system. Save money there. Just ask them, can they bring their own? And then I also ask, we do the national anthem. I do ask performers, would you like to come and sing the national anthem? It's an honour for performers, and I'm not paying for that. But it creates an extra string in your bow to look like you've got more and more entertainment, and you're providing entertainment around the grounds. Schools and musicals, they all want the experience of singing in front of live audiences. I also troll social media. Australia's Got Talent, The Voice. I find the people that have been on the show and not got through, but that allows me in my advertising to go as seen on TV. They work a lot cheaper than the people who have won and have the higher profile. So don't discount of reaching out to them on social media. They all answer it, and they all are looking for work and profile. They've had their 5 minutes of fame on TV, and then it quickly fades. So look at that as a resource. Telequests are a very good one. I've built the country music up over the last 10 years. You can do a busking competition, get guests to walk around with a QR code to vote. And all you need to do is go to your local companies. They get a prestigious prize of a trophy, and you can also give them giveaways. And that provides music and entertainment around your grounds. And I also ran a competition a few years ago for the privilege to sing the national anthem. And it was really popular. And we ran it for a couple of years in a row, having a beautiful, a local person sing the national anthem. Organisations all have bands. The schools have bands. The police have bands. Reenactment societies in your area create roving entertainment. I'm using the Penny Farthing Association in the show this year, but they've got bikes and they just want to come and show off their wares. We use the Defence Force. They're paid musicians by your taxes. Reach out to government. Melbourne have a great RAF band and police bands. And also the harness racing industry. They want to promote their business, and we end up like a chariot race with harness racing that we're not paying for because it's promoting their industry. Mindful of when you're booking roving entertainers, I also say make sure that don't book a troupe that are a 3-person act because you're spending 3 times the amount for the same impact. Look at who you're booking, and I love to book street performers that are on stilts because 200 people from a distance can see it. If you've got someone at ground level doing close-up magic, paying the same amount of money, but your impact is only for 5 or 6 people. So look at who you're booking. A lot of performers do multiple characters, not just one character. So I look for that so they can change costumes through the day. So it looks like you book more entertainment than what you actually have. And a lot of these guys have different skills. So ask them to come and do something each time. So it's quite often a person who does magic can also juggle, can also ride a unicycle, can do a kids show, can also do an adult show. And I also make sure that we don't just do 3-hour calls. We're not a shopping centre where traditionally they do a 3-hour call. I ask for them to do 5 runs a day. So I'm not booking 2 entertainers. I book 1 for a longer period. Don't be shy to ask them to do longer. And I always ask every performer, what else can you do? If you look at our night show, our motorbike guys do their show, but they're also involved in other acts and a part of the fireworks as well. So pool your budget together. Maybe you can get 1 act and you can do quite a lot. But the main thing is like work together amongst your regional shows and collaborate. Like I said before, I don't mind if our local shows reach out to me because I have the experience, and regional shows that might be new to the person that's booking the entertainment. I'm quite happy to always give advice and share that. And local regional shows should be relying and leaning on the Royal shows because we are paid professionals, a lot of volunteers in regional shows. So I ask for help and advice, and that's what the ASA are doing is how do we work together? Let's pool our resources and let's support each other. So we're all on the same side and reach out. So leverage. So I run the country music competition here. I'm quite happy for a regional show to run their own competition, and I'll give the winner of that a wildcard entry into the capital city. So it acts as a prize for the regional shows and encouragement. But it's just about supporting everybody. The Royal shows, we're all collaborating as well. The Human Kenner that was just in Sydney paid for him to come out. I can't afford to do that, but I can pay for the freight from Sydney to Brisbane. After us, he will then go to Adelaide, and then after Adelaide, he's going to go to Perth. So we're pooling our budget to help share the cost and expense. So we do it at our level. Regionally, you should look at doing that for acts in your area so you can create a circuit. That's sort of just the main thing is, when I first started out, I was part of a circus that would do a circuit of ag shows, and they would create a run like the rides do. You can create that same circuit for entertainers. So that's it. I'm sorry I've gone a bit over time, but I wanted to share as much. I hope you guys have got something out of that. And if you've got any other questions, feel free to reach out to Kate or look for myself. I've got an email at the back. Here's a little tip for you. Just be careful when you do use AI. It does throw out pearly things, but there's my email address. If you want to write that down, I'm quite happy to help afterwards with any questions that anybody might have. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you so much, Tony. That was a fabulous session and right on time, I might add. Just to let everybody know, we will share this full PowerPoint with you all, plus also the recording will be available for those who maybe missed it. I'm really proud to say that we had 50 people on this session today for our first ever free webinar. We do have one final question, and Olivia posed this: what do you offer marching bands or community groups to perform, i.e. do you offer them entry tickets or a small donation?
No, we don't do donations at all. We give them purely just an entry ticket for all the players and their supporting staff, because for them it's an opportunity to perform in front of an audience. So no, we don't have to. It's the privilege of performing at the ECHA as part of a community engagement. The great thing from that is then we sell tickets through the gate for family members who want to come and see their friends and family perform as part of that. They're paying a lot of money. A lot of them at schools are paying money for extra music lessons. The parents want to see what are they getting for their money. And so if their kids are performing at public events, it's a win for them as well as it is for us.
There is one more question that I'm just looking. Oh, sorry. Heather wanted me to say the link to Tony's PowerPoint is in the meeting chat. If everybody wants to have a look at it, we'll still email it to you all, but the link is there for you to download. There was another one. Heather's just popping up a poll now. There's 3 questions we would love you to answer about how you found this webinar. But Tony, one last question. When it comes to free entertainment from schools, community groups, how do you approach them without giving them an expectation of being paid a fee donation? Or do you still offer, this is from Roy, any tips to get their buy-in, I suppose, that so they don't feel like they're going to be paid or need a donation?
Yeah, no, it's look, we do, I'm very open and honest with them, that yes, we have a budget, but it only goes so far. And it's about the wording about we would like to offer you and create an opportunity for you to showcase your skill set. We do that with our wine and cheese and cattle. They all get judged, they all showcased, they're all there to promote. Here's an opportunity for you to promote your school or your dance school. I'm quite happy for people to hand out a flyer or information afterwards. But it's a privilege to come to the show to perform, because not everyone has that opportunity. And I just say that some people have asked, well, can we get funds to hire a bus? I go, sorry, I don't have budget for that. But I understand if you decline, but I would like to offer that as an opportunity for you. And I'll leave it that way.
Very good. It's some really positive responses, Tony, to this webinar, and I very much thank you for your time. It was certainly an eye-opener with the superannuation for our volunteers, and it is another hurdle for them to continually try to jump over, as a small association. And I can see that challenge, and I acknowledge that challenge to the show societies, and it's an unfortunate one, I suppose. But there's overall very positive. Everyone's very grateful. It's been very informative, and we thank you very much for your time today and appreciate everything you've put into this.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate it. And again, I'm open to if anyone's got other questions. The other one too, I didn't put on here because it's changed as well. I encourage everyone to research the Blue Card, working with children. The government has now introduced that as compulsory. Volunteers need one if you're working with children with activities. You don't have to pay for it if you're a volunteer, but any performer that's working with children, absolutely compulsory, and the government is cracking down on that as well. So do some research on Blue Card for your organisation.
Is it a national recommendation? Is it a national requirement?
Yeah, it's national. Yeah, so I caught up with the entertainment manager in Perth, and they have gone through that process as well. We have our education pavilion. So anyone who's working in that space must have a Blue Card, because the schools that are coming through and it's educational. It creates a lot more internal paperwork. You've got to collect the numbers of the cards. Volunteers, even if you're volunteering, you still need a Blue Card, but it's non-pay. You don't have to pay a fee if you're a volunteer. But paid performers working with children 100% must have it. And the government's giving you 6 months grace to get in line with it, but just know that that's coming, that the government will be looking for.
Okay, well, certainly ASA will be looking into that if it's a national requirement. Yeah. We'll make sure that we get that information out to the show societies. So okay. We'll leave it at that today. Thank you very much, Tony. Our first session of free webinars from ASA was very successful, and we look forward to seeing everyone at the next one in July, and we'll keep you all informed as to where and when and the information on how to participate in that webinar. So thank you, everyone.